The Coast Guard searches up and down the coast, but they find nothing. All that day they search, all the next day, and the one after. A helicopter comes down from the Air Sea Rescue. It flies low and hammers the air, searching coves and cliffs. After 2 days, Connor explains to me that they are now scaling down the search. He tells me what that means. It means that if Dad is in the sea or on the cliffs, they don't believe that they'll find him safe anymore. Too much time has passed. The helicopter stops flying, and there are only neighbors in our kitchen now instead of police and Coast Guard men and volunteer searchers. And then the neighbors go back to their own lives, except for Mary. A few days later, Mom says she thinks it's better if we go back to school. It isn't doing us any good staying in the cottage and waiting, always waiting. 5 weeks later, a climber on the cliffs miles down the coast sees something. It's the hull of the Peggy Gordon, wedged upside down between the rocks. He reads the name on it. The Coast Guard men go down, and a team of divers search the area. There's no sign of Dad. Finally, they pull the boat out of the rocks and tow it into shore so they can examine it thoroughly and find out what caused the accident. But the boat didn't have a single clue. Mom says to us, "We have to accept it now. Your dad had an accident." "No," says Connor, slamming his fist on the table. "No, no, no. Dad wouldn't lose the Peggy Gordon like that on a calm night. That's not what happened." He bangs out of the house and gets his bike and disappears. I think he goes up to Jack's. Anyway, he comes home late, and when he creeps into my room to climb up the loft ladder, I'm already half asleep. "Connor? Shh. It's all right. Mom's asleep. She's been crying?" "No, just sitting, not looking at anything. I hate it when she does that." "I know. Connor, where's Dad?" I'm still half asleep, or I'd never ask that question. How can Connor now know when nobody knows? The question just slips out, but Connor doesn't get angry. He tiptoes over and kneels by my bed. "I don't know what happened, Saf, but he's not drowned. I'm sure of it. We'd know if he was drowned. We'd feel it. We'd feel the difference if he was dead." "Yes," I say. Relief floods me. "You're right. I don't feel as if he's dead either." Connor nods. "We're going to find Dad, Saf, however long it takes. But you mustn't tell Mom. Swear and promise." "Swear and promise," I answer, and I spit on my right palm, and Connor spits on his, and we slap our palms together. After that, I sleep. They hold a memorial service for Dad in the church. Mom explains that we can't have a proper funeral because Dad's body hasn't been found. It hasn't been found because there isn't a body to find. Dad isn't dead, I think. And I know Connor's thinking the same thing. Everyone comes to the memorial service in the dark clothes with sad faces. "Oh, Jenny dear, they say. And they put their arms around Mom. Some women kiss me, even though I don't want them to. Connor stands there frowning with his arm folded so no one will dare to kiss him. Connor's angry because everyone's flocking in the memorial service like sheep, believing that Dad's dead, even though no one has found his body. Most people think that Connor's being brave for Mom's sake. "You're the man of the house now, Connor," says Alice True-hidden in her creaky old voice. "Your mother's lucky that she's got a son to take care of her." Alice only likes boys, not girls. In fact, girls practically don't exist in Alice's eyes. "Connor has his own life to live, Alice," says Granny Crane sharply. I didn't see Granny Crane arrive, but suddenly she's there, tall and strong and wild-looking. People fall back a little to give her room, out of respect. Everyone shows respect to Granny Crane, as if she's a queen. "Connor has his own choices to make," Granny Crane goes on. None of us make them for him. Grumpy, sharp-tongued Alice, true hidden, says nothing back. She just mumbles on her breath and shuffles off sideways like a crab to find the best seat. She's not exactly scared of Granny Crane, but she doesn't want to cross her. Nobody does. I'm surprised that Granny Crane has come to the memorial service. I'd never seen her inside the church before. Everybody else looks surprised too. Heads bop around to look at her as she comes in, and murmurs fly around the cool echoing space. Look who's here! Who? Granny Crane! Can't remember the last time we saw her inside the church. I never seen her inside this church in my life, and that's going back many years, muttered Alice through hidden. Granny Crane doesn't go far inside today. She stands by the open door at the back, watching and listening. Maybe she hears all the mutters and murmurs, but she doesn't take notice. She wears her usual sabby old earth-colored clothes, but her poppy red scarf is the brightest thing in the church. Granny Crane is tall and forbidding. People are still pushing their way to the crowd church, and they glance sideways at her as they come in, and a lot of them nod respectfully at just the same way as they nod to the vicar. The thought of Granny Crane being like the vicar makes my lips twitch. Granny Crane catches me looking at her. The faintest smile crosses her lips. Suddenly I feel a flicker of hope and courage in the dark sadness of the church. Who is Granny Crane? Why is she different from everyone else? I remember asking Dad that when I was about 7. We were sitting on the bench on a day of flat calm, and Dad was skimming stones on the water with the flick of his wrist. Just Dad and me, on our own. The stones hopped on the silky smooth water. 1 jump, 2, 4, 6 jumps. Dad, who is Granny Crane? Why do they call her that when she's not anyone's real granny? Some say she's a witch, answered Dad. I know, I said. I'd heard that in the playground. But there aren't real witches now, are there? Who knows, says Dad. She has power in her, that's for sure. If you want to put a label on it, you would call it witchcraft, or you would call it magic. Does she do spells, Dad? Out of a great big book, spell book, you mean? Or she might know them off by heart. She might. She has earth magic in her. That's why she's so strong, old as she is. How old is she, Dad? Dad shrugged. She's always been as old as she is now. If you asked her how old she is, she'll say she's old as her tongue and a little older than her teeth. Maybe she's been old forever. Are you scared of her, Dad? No, I'm not scared. There are 2 sorts of magic, Safi. I say that Granny Crane's is mostly beginning. What does that mean? That her magic does good rather than harm, most of the time. Not all the time? Magic's wild. You can't put a harness on it or make it do what you want. Even the best magic can be dangerous. I remember being very surprised that Dad talked about magic as if it was a real thing. I knew that most grown-ups didn't believe it was. Anyways, show respect to Granny Crane, Safi, said Dad. If you do that and don't cross her, she'll be a good friend to you. She's always been a good friend to me. Never whisper about her back, like ignorant people do. You think she doesn't know, but she does.